Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to take a look at a horrible case with you. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping, a tragic tale. The Lindbergh baby, Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr., was born on June 22, 1930 at 8:15 p.m. in the Lindbergh home, Highfields in Hopewell, New Jersey. His parents, Charles and Anne Lindbergh, were overjoyed at the arrival of their first child. Anne Lindbergh had a relatively easy pregnancy, and the couple had prepared the nursery with great excitement. Charles Lindbergh was present at the birth, and he cut the umbilical cord. The baby weighed 7 pounds 12 ounces and was 22 inches long. The Lindberghs were ecstatic about the arrival of their baby boy. They had been married for over a year and had been looking forward to starting a family. Charles Lindbergh was quoted as saying, "We are both thrilled and happy. The baby is a wonderful little fellow." During the first 20 months of baby Charles' life, the Lindberghs spent quality time with him, cherishing every moment. Both Charles and Anne were hands-on parents, taking turns feeding, bathing, and soothing their baby. They kept a detailed record of baby Charles' milestones, from his first smile to his first tooth. The Lindberghs would spend hours playing with baby Charles, reading to him, and taking him on outdoor adventures. The family took several trips together, including a cross-country flight to California and a vacation to Canada. The Lindberghs were devoted parents who prioritized their child's needs. They believed in nurturing a strong bond with their child, responding to his needs, and creating a secure attachment. They allowed baby Charles to explore his surroundings, encouraging his natural curiosity and sense of adventure. They began teaching baby Charles self-reliant skills like feeding himself and playing independently. The Lindbergh family was one of the most prominent and influential families in the United States during the 20th century. Charles Lindbergh, the patriarch, was a pioneering aviator, explorer, and scientist who achieved international fame and fortune through his groundbreaking achievements. Charles Lindbergh received numerous prizes and awards for his record-breaking flights, including the $25,000 Orteig Prize for the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight. Lindbergh wrote several best-selling books, including We and the Spirit of St. Louis, which were adapted into successful films. Lindbergh was a highly sought-after speaker and endorser, commanding significant fees for his appearances and endorsements. The Lindberghs invested in various business ventures, including real estate, aviation companies, and technology startups. The Lindbergh family's fame was unparalleled. Lindbergh's record-breaking flights, including the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight, made him an international hero and icon. The Lindberghs were constantly in the news with their lives and exploits covered extensively in newspapers, magazines, and newsreels. Charles and Anne Lindbergh were in high demand for public appearances, including speeches, lectures, and ceremonial events. Lindberghs were part of the American aristocracy with connections to powerful politicians, business leaders, and royalty. Charles Lindbergh supported various aviation and exploration initiatives, including the development of new aircraft and equipment. The evening of March 1, 1932 was meant to be just another night for Charles Lindbergh and his wife, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, in their peaceful home in Hopewell, New Jersey. Charles Lindbergh, the renowned aviator who had made history with his solo transatlantic flight in 1927, was now living a quieter life with his family. Their 20-month-old son, Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr., was the center of their world. Yet that night, their lives were forever altered by a crime that would captivate and horrify the nation. The Lindberghs' home, known as Highfields, was located in a secluded area, offering a serene environment away from the hustle and bustle of city life. The house was equipped with modern amenities and had a nursery designed to ensure the safety and comfort of their young child. The family had retired for the evening, believing that their home was a sanctuary where they could rest without worry. However, their peace was shattered when an intruder breached their home. The kidnapper's entry was facilitated by a wooden ladder discovered outside the nursery window, indicating how he had gained access. Inside, the kidnapper left a chilling ransom note demanding $50,000. This note was found on the nursery windowsill, adding to the sense of terror and urgency. The note was written in a careful, deliberate manner, with a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters. It instructed the Lindberghs to follow specific instructions for the ransom payment and warned them not to contact the police. The kidnapper's meticulous planning was evident, and the note contained a level of detail that suggested prior knowledge of the Lindberghs' routines. As the Lindberghs realized the gravity of the situation, they were struck by fear and disbelief. They immediately contacted the local authorities, who arrived swiftly to begin their investigation. The FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, soon joined the effort, making this case a focal point of national attention. The kidnappers' plan involved a series of ransom demands and communications. The ransom note had outlined a specific amount and detailed instructions for how the Lindberghs should proceed. Over the next few weeks, the Lindberghs received additional notes, each more elaborate than the last. These communications were characterized by a complex system of intermediaries and coded messages, which made it difficult for investigators to decipher the kidnappers' intentions. The ransom demands were initially set at $50,000, a significant sum at the time. Charles Lindbergh, known for his resourcefulness and determination, sought to comply with the demands in hopes of safely recovering his son. He arranged for the payment, following the kidnappers' instructions to the letter. However, despite the payment, the kidnappers did not return the child, and the situation grew increasingly dire. The investigation into the kidnapping was extensive and involved numerous strategies. The FBI, leveraging its growing expertise in criminal investigations, conducted a thorough examination of the crime scene and gathered evidence. The ladder left outside the nursery window was analyzed for fingerprints, and a search of the surrounding area was conducted. Despite these efforts, the investigation faced numerous challenges. The kidnappers' use of intermediaries meant that investigators had to track multiple individuals and decipher the codes used in the ransom notes. The complexity of the case was compounded by the media frenzy, which added pressure to solve the crime quickly. Investigators followed various leads, interviewing potential witnesses and scrutinizing every clue. They explored possible motives and connections, but the case remained elusive. The lack of direct evidence linking the kidnapper to the crime made the investigation increasingly frustrating. As weeks turned into months, hope for the safe return of Charles Lindbergh Jr. waned. The search for the missing child continued with relentless determination, but the case seemed to be at a standstill. Then, on May 12, 1932, a breakthrough came, but it was tragically not the one the Lindberghs had hoped for. The body of Charles Lindbergh Jr. was discovered in a wooded area near Mount Rose, New Jersey. The child's body had been buried in a shallow grave, and the cause of death was determined to be a severe skull fracture. This discovery was a devastating blow to the Lindbergh family and the nation as a whole. The autopsy revealed that the child had been dead for some time, which added to the heartbreak of the situation. The discovery of the body confirmed the worst fears of the Lindberghs and brought an end to the agonizing uncertainty. The case took a dramatic turn in September 1934 when a gas station attendant in the Bronx, New York, reported a suspicious customer. This customer had passed a ransom note, and the attendant took down the license plate number of the car. This crucial piece of information led the police to Bruno Hauptmann, a German immigrant and carpenter. Bruno Richard Hauptmann was born on November 26, 1899 in Kamenz, a small town in the Kingdom of Saxony, Germany. His early life in Germany was marked by modest means and a lack of opportunities. Hauptmann's family was working class, and he faced many challenges growing up. His father, a carpenter, worked hard to provide for the family, but the economic hardships of the time were a constant strain. In 1923, Hauptmann emigrated to the United States, seeking better opportunities and escaping the economic turmoil in Germany. He settled in the Bronx, New York City, where he initially found work as a carpenter. Hauptmann's immigration was marked by his acquisition of legal status and the establishment of a new identity in America. Despite his efforts to start anew, Hauptmann's criminal inclinations persisted. He became involved in a series of thefts and forgeries, which earned him a reputation in the criminal underworld. His criminal activities were often characterized by meticulous planning and execution, traits that would later play a significant role in the infamous Lindbergh kidnapping case. Hauptmann became obsessed with the Lindbergh family's wealth and fame, and he began to plan a kidnapping scheme. He did not know the Lindberghs personally, but he had been following their lives and exploits through the media. Hauptmann's connection to the Lindberghs was largely through his own research and planning. Hauptmann followed the Lindberghs' lives and achievements through newspapers and magazines. Hauptmann gathered information about the Lindberghs' daily routines, including their home address and Charles Lindbergh's flight schedules. Hauptmann used a fake name, John, and created a false backstory to use during the kidnapping and ransom demands. Gore used his carpentry skills to build. Hauptmann built a custom ladder to access the Lindbergh home's second-floor window, where he entered the nursery and abducted the baby. Hauptmann's meticulous planning and research allowed him to carry out the kidnapping, but ultimately, his crimes were discovered and he was brought to justice. Hauptmann's arrest was a significant development in the case. He was found in possession of ransom money, and his handwriting was analyzed and linked to the ransom notes. Hauptmann's arrest and subsequent trial drew widespread attention, with many believing that justice would finally be served. The ransom money found in his possession was a critical piece of evidence. Hauptmann's arrest was the result of meticulous police work and a series of connections linking him to the crime. Hauptmann maintained his innocence throughout the investigation and trial. He claimed that he had been framed and that the evidence against him was circumstantial. Despite his protests, the evidence presented in court was compelling. The ransom money, combined with handwriting analysis and witness testimonies, created a strong case against him. The trial of Bruno Hauptmann began in February 1935 and quickly became a media sensation. Newspapers and radio broadcasts covered every aspect of the proceedings, and the trial was followed with intense interest by the public. The media scrutiny was unprecedented, and the trial became a spectacle of national proportions. The prosecution presented a detailed case, highlighting the evidence linking Hauptmann to the crime. The defense argued that Hauptmann was a victim of a miscarriage of justice, and that the evidence was not conclusive. Despite these arguments, the jury found Hauptmann guilty of kidnapping and murder. Hauptmann was sentenced to death, and the trial concluded with a sense of closure for the Lindbergh family, although the pain of their loss remained. Hauptmann's execution by electric chair took place on April 3, 1936. The event was carried out amid continued media coverage and public debate. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. There are many shocking stories ahead of you.